Good evening, and welcome to our forum for the Richardson Single-Member District 3 candidates. My name is Ellen Steger, and I am president of the League of Women Voters of Richardson. The League of Women Voters of Richardson is a nonpartisan, grassroots civic organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. The League works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and membership in the League is open to everyone. But you have to be 16 years old in order to vote in any of our meetings. With over 100 years of experience, the League is one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofit organizations. Election information for the May 2nd local elections can be found on the League of Women Voters of Richardson website at www.lwvrichardson.org. The site is updated as new information becomes available. If you are a registered voter who lives in the City of Richardson, you will have 50 City of Richardson Charter Amendment propositions on your ballot, as well as 5 bond propositions. If you are a registered voter who lives in the Richardson ISD, you will have the Richardson ISD Board of Trustees at Large, Place 6 on your ballot. And that was the candidate form that we just finished. If you are a registered voter who lives in the Richardson ISD District 3, you will also have Richardson ISD Board of Trustees Single-Member District on your ballot. There's a map in the foyer to help you determine if you live in District 3 or not. And this form that we are about to have right now is for Single-Member District 3. The Richardson League has produced a nonpartisan printed voter's guide for the 2 Richardson ISD Board of Trustees races that will be on the May 2nd ballot. Due to space limitations, only 5 questions and the candidates' answers appear in the printed voter's guide. The City of Richardson is not allowing the Richardson League to distribute our printed voter's guides in city buildings, so you will not find our nonpartisan printed voter's guides in the usual places. Instead, find them at Tongue-in-Cheek Ice Cream, Network of Community Ministries, and also out in the lobby. Our printed voter's guide is great, but even better is the League's online voter's guide, because the online voter's guides ask 20 questions of these candidates, and all 5 of the candidates for both Place 6 and District 3 have answered the questions. The 5 questions in the printed voter's guide are included in the 20 questions found on the online voter's guide. To access the online voter's guide, find a QR code on a poster in the lobby, or go directly to vote411.org. The League did not edit any of the candidates' responses to the voter's guide's questions, either online or in print. Many thanks to the Richardson League volunteers working tonight, including the greeters at the door, the ushers getting your questions as you get them written on the cards, the question screeners who are seated to my left, and the timekeepers who are in the front row. And I want to make sure that the 3 candidates sitting up here can see the timekeepers. Okay. Many thanks to those who submitted questions to ask the candidates. We asked for questions on our Facebook page and other social media, and you responded. If we didn't ask your question tonight, it may be because we've collected more questions than we will have time for. It's also possible that your question was in the online voter's guide, and we don't want to duplicate. Check out that online voter's guide. I guarantee that all questions that were submitted have been considered, whether submitted before the forum or here during the forum tonight. Many thanks to the candidates, both for attending our forum this evening and for your willingness to serve our community. We wish each of you good luck. Our moderator tonight is Richardson Mayor Amir Omar. Amir is a father of 3 adult children and lives in Northeast Richardson with his wife, Alika. A first-generation American, he was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and moved to Texas in the 1st grade, graduating from Harlingen High. He earned a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M, where he was a member of the Aggie Corps of Cadets and earned an executive MBA from UT Dallas. A graduate of Leadership Richardson, the FBI Citizens Academy, and Richardson Police and Fire Academies, Amir has dedicated his career to community service. In 2009, Amir was elected as Place 7 council member for the city of Richardson and was reelected in 2011. His leadership earned him the 2012 One Man Dallas Award and the Regional Community Leader of the Year Award. While on council, Amir championed the Tree the Town program as well as Richardson's Community Garden program. After his council service, he led the Duck Creek neighborhood for 2 years. Amir was elected mayor of Richardson in May of 2025. He is currently a senior VP at Hydro Point Data Systems, where he has worked for over a decade. Now, I turn it over to Mayor Omar.
Well, thank you, Ellen, and thank you to the League of Women Voters, all the volunteerism and everything that you do to help us inform our voters. If you'll please join me in thanking the League of Women Voters. All right, so a little bit of a checklist here, but everyone please silence your cell phones and all other devices. Flash photography is not allowed during the forum, as it is a distraction to candidates. Prior to today, each candidate agreed to abide by all forum ground rules. These rules include always showing respect to each other. Candidates have agreed to not interrupt one another nor talk over one another. They have agreed to refrain from personal attacks or charges. It is my job as a moderator to enforce these rules. So now we'll move on to the introduction of candidates. And audience, once again, I will ask you to please refrain from any applause or any other form of support or opposition to any candidate. The purpose of the forum is to hear what the candidates have to say. So please, let's give them as much time as possible and save your applause until the very end of the program. Each question will be asked of all candidates. We will rotate the order in which the candidates answer questions, and the candidates were not given the questions in advance. Candidates are seated on stage in the order their names will appear on the ballot. To introduce the candidates, I will now introduce the candidates in ballot order. For Single Member District 3 in ballot position 1, Luis Fernando Rojas. For Single Member District 3 in ballot position 2, Nosley Burney. For Single Member District 3 in ballot position 3, Ewan Blackman. In lieu of an opening statement, each candidate submitted a short biography, which has been printed and handed out when you entered the auditorium. Candidates, you have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. A timekeeper will hold the time cards visible to the speaker and to me that indicate when there's 30 seconds remaining, when there's 10 seconds remaining, and when the stop card is shown, the speaker must end their speech quickly. Can all of you see the timers in the front row? All right. We will begin with Single Member District 3 candidate in ballot position 1, Mr. Rojas. And question number 1 is actually a 2-part question. What experience do you have sitting on a board or committee where you have listened to opposing views and had to compromise with other members? And the second part is, do you think it is important for the school board to be unified in support of district policy after contentious votes? Please explain. Mr. Rojas.
Well, I never did anything for the type of education. The only thing I sat on was the bond steering committee, which I presented the tax increase to the board, which I did it in a good mindset for our students' future, not for my benefit, for anybody's benefit, but for our students' future.
The second part of the question is, do you think it's important for the school board to be unified in support of district policy after contentious votes?
I do believe that every board member should be unified on a decision, because if we have somebody going against something else, it would jeopardize the school education in whole. If we don't have an agreement, then pretty much it just won't work out. I'll just leave it like that.
Miss Burney.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. It's a two-part question. What experience do you have sitting on a board or committee where you have listened to opposing views and had to compromise with other members? And then the second part is, do you think it's important for the school board to be unified in support of district policy after contentious votes?
So, I think it's not just about being on a board or a committee that you may have agreements or disagreements with, but this is something you learn from childhood, starting with your siblings, and you have disagreements with them. You grow up with compromises and communication and collaboration to get what you want. Then, as you get older, in high school, you're doing project based learning, and there again, you have to compromise, you have to collaborate with your team. Then you get into a job as an educator. In my grade level meetings, right, regarding curriculum or regarding testing, anything that had to do with student success, we were working as a team. And again, right there, collaboration, communication, transparency in what you want, and having a unified voice in that. I've also served on the PTA board at MST, and over there also working with other board members, trying to come up with the best possible outcomes for our teachers and our students. Yes, there are disagreements. However, I think that I do believe in the voice of the majority, and you respect the voice and you respect the vote. And that's how it's always been with me. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you. I've served on 9 district committees where there are many discussions around contentious ideas, and you always come together at the end, have a vote, and after the vote is complete, we move forward in unity. That is the idea of democracy. We get to express ourselves, we get to disagree, and then when the vote happens, that's the decider. So I also serve on the Jess Ford Foundation board, which is a charity started in the USA from South Africa. I also serve as a director for the Dallas region for Innovative Teachers of Texas, which is a teachers union, and I also serve as the president of my HOA, and I conduct board meetings there quite regularly, and we have disagreements and discussions which are quite healthy, and at the end of it we make a decision and we move forward with that. On the school board unified, I think to bring that back into focus, yes, after you have the vote, after you lose or win the vote, the winning side must be the one that prevails, and then that is the continuation of the discussion. That is the policy, that is the step you move forward with, whatever that may be, whatever the outcome of that vote is. Democracy requires that the majority rules, and once that happens, we move forward. Doesn't mean we can't modify going forward, make changes as we see things, but that's the idea of democracy, and I love it, and I think that, yes, you should have unity after the vote.
Ms. Burney, the next question will start off with you. It is another two-part question. How should the board evaluate major spending initiatives? And then the second part of the question is, do you see another Project Right Size or additional school closures on the horizon?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yep. How should the board evaluate major spending initiatives? And do you see another Project Right Size or additional school closures on the horizon?
So I'll start with the second part. It is devastating to see any of our schools having to be shut down due to budget constraints. But I think that I have to commend the district in doing an amazing job in repurposing those schools into meaningful community assets, such as childcare facilities for our staff with families, mental health resources, and health centers, and a community center. So that was just amazing to see that these schools are not just sitting there shut down gathering spider webs. They actually are meaningful community assets. Any further adjustment to Project Right Size should be done in a thoughtful, data-driven, and with transparency to our with transparency, as well as getting meaningful input from our community members. I feel like the community has to be a big part of making sure that their concerns and their sentimental emotions or values should not be cast aside. And definitely, to be transparent, the district needs to know exactly why, if this were to ever happen again. The community needs to have a big involvement in that. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you. After the last bond, and I was on the bond steering committee for that, and directed some of that spending at 1.4 billion. I'm not sure there are really any other major spending initiatives coming up other than to spend that bond money over the next 5 years. And you'll need a trustee that's going to watch some of that spending and make sure the responsible dollars are spent in the best places to hit our classrooms first, to go to our students first, to make sure that learning environment is great. So I don't foresee a large spending initiative, although I will say I did read through the FCI, which is the Facilities Conditions Index, which we had a study about 5 years ago on, and a lot of our elementary schools are looking to need major updates to their infrastructure. Things are getting old. A lot of our elementary schools are 50 years old now, so that's going to be something on the horizon we'll have to address. But as for other initiatives at this time, it's pretty much what we passed with the bond, which is excited about the CTE Center, excited about the middle school transfer and having the new middle schools up and running. And then one that's near and dear to my heart is the outside environmental center. And that's something I serve on that committee as well. We're going to be revitalizing and building that center. So in light of all those, I did You and Me and the ISD, the podcast, and spoke to the community for quite a lengthy program about Project Right Size and how we could have done it a little better. And we put that to the vote, and once that vote is done, it's a done deal. So, as I said earlier, that's how democracy works, and I've done my best to connect the community with the RISD to affect the best outcomes for our students.
Mr. Rojas.
With the bond act that passed, all the stuff that necessary stuff that we needed for the school is on that bond. With the next budget stuff that should be coming in, it should be focused on the students that all the stuff that they need, like materials or some extra stuff that these classes, these students can help them proceed their future in this education. I don't think we should even put any necessary stuff that's the bonds already taken care of. I do think another school closings are coming if we don't act now. In the future, we should start saving up some type of money for these schools, because as how it looks like, we're closing more schools, and that's not good. That's not good future if we're trying to say that Richardson ISD is one of the best schools in the nation or in the state. Then we should act like it, not spend money crazy or sports buildings or anything that is non-necessary, that our kids are going to have a great education in this place.
All right, question number 3. We'll start with you, Mr. Blackman. There are several controversial issues related to curriculum. Choose a topic and explain why you feel it should be included or excluded in the education of RISD students.
Thank you. Controversial topics are nothing new as an educator. I've been 23 years in the classroom. If a day goes by where a parent doesn't inquire about something we're teaching in the curriculum, then it's a quiet day for sure. But at the end of the day, our elected officials, our State Board of Education, our school board decide upon what curriculum we follow, decide what materials we use. That being said, if you go into specifics, I teach physics and I teach biology. And in biology, some of the controversy is around whether or not you teach sex education and what we teach in sex education. And I think it's vital that we have teachers and we have curriculum that mirrors the views of our community. And our community must be represented in how we portray those discussions. So whether it's talking about sex education in the classroom and how much do we just stick to the science of it versus the human interaction therein, or how much do we discuss the sheer technical side of how that all works. And then how much do we get into lifestyles and behaviors? And I think we should be welcoming to all communities in a school district. Everybody goes through school. Everybody comes to school. And so everyone, when they come to school, should feel safe. They should feel included. And they should feel that their beliefs are challenged to some degree, but also respected. And those are difficult lines to walk. But that would just be one I could think of.
Mr. Rojas.
Subject that I think should not be changed is history. History is a very important thing that we should learn from the past. If we don't want things to happen in the future, that's what we need to learn from. But yeah, history should not be changed at all. Slavery should not be changed. Slavery should be taught as how it was supposed to be taught. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that.
Miss Burney.
So yeah, as Mr. Blackman has mentioned, that a large part of the curriculum is mandated by the State Board of Education, and the local districts have a very small amount. They have a small involvement in that. Having said that, the student allotment that we get from the state, it does not include money for the curriculum. Now, the state has these HQIM, high quality instructional materials, that list that they present to the districts. And if the districts choose from those lists, then the districts get more money, right? And I am proud to say that our superintendent, we do have the blue bonnet in the mathematics. However, the district chose not to go with the blue bonnet in ELAR. It had over 4,000 errors, and it did not meet the diverse needs of the community that we serve. So I am yes, and instead we're using the Amplify curriculum. So I am glad that the district doesn't just look at the money or the laws, but at the diverse community that we serve and making sure that every student and every teacher is comfortable learning and teaching that curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Burney. Question number 4, we'll start with you, Mr. Rojas. And the question is, should RISD consider offering a dual-track retirement benefit? It's a choice of teacher retirement system or the Social Security to attract those who want to be further vested under that system. Could having that choice attract a better talent pool?
Well, when I was growing up in the RSD, I had saw so many teachers has been here since the 90s, maybe the 80s, when I was growing up in the mid 2000s, early 2000s. And their desire to teach kids should show pretty much a lot from them. I think we should start something like that because they show their hard working time, their stressful time teaching kids, brand new kids every single year, and they're humans. They take stress from this, so I think really we should help them out in the long time that they stay here so many years. So yeah, I think they should have a plan for them to retire on, not to look for something else when they leave RSD or any type of school district.
Miss Burney?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Should RISD consider offering a dual-track retirement benefit, which would be a choice between the teacher retirement system or Social Security, to attract those who want to be further vested under that system? Could having that choice attract a better talent pool?
I believe that the district is already doing an amazing job with decreasing the attrition rate of our teachers. The number of teachers who leave the district has decreased from 17.5% to 11.5% in the past 2 years. So obviously, the district is doing something right. The district also offers a variety of low to no cost incentives for these teachers, including health and wellness centers, the daycares for staff with families, right? So I feel like we are retaining our teachers, the high quality teachers, and we're, in addition to competitive compensation, which we are raising every year, the teachers are getting that raise. I agree that it doesn't yet coincide with the rising cost of inflation, and that is something I want to continue advocating for. But I feel like the district is doing a great job in decreasing their attrition rate. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Yes, I do believe they should have a dual track retirement system, 100%. I believe if the teacher pays into both systems, they should benefit from both systems. This goes along with the recently passed, I believe it was 2 years ago, the Windfall Elimination Act for teachers. So myself, I was late to teaching. I taught in the went to teaching when I was 30 years old. So my first 12 years of living in America, I was in the business world. I worked for companies like CompUSA and AT&T in management and training teams, and then I switched across to teaching, and that's been my passion my whole life, was teaching. I just didn't realize I could afford it, and affording it even today is difficult to manage that budget. But in doing so, I was happy to see that my 12 years of paying into Social Security was not going to be robbed from me with the Windfall Elimination Act by taking that money away. And so when the federal government did away with that plan a couple of years ago, that benefited me from the standpoint of the money I invested in the system, I can now benefit from. And I think that's correct. I think that's the right thing to do. That's the honorable thing to do. And if the RISD, I do support the idea that they should allow teachers to pay into both. You don't get the one for free and the other for free. If you pay your fair share into both for retirement, then you should benefit from that. My father-in-law is a dean from the local Tarrant County Community College, and he was in that system. They grandfathered him in the 1970s, and that has been a great benefit to him in his retirement. He hasn't had to worry about whether he could afford his retirement, because he can actually withdraw both retirement systems because he paid into both. So yes, I do support that 100%.
Miss Burney, question number 5 will start with you. If you were king or queen of RISD, what single most important change in policy would you make to how the board manages RISD administration? Why would this change matter?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. If you were king or queen of RISD, what single most important change in policy would you make to how the board manages RISD's administration? Why would this change matter?
So I feel like the single most important change to manage is to increase our student achievement, especially in math and reading. Our kids are meeting standards for math at 40% and for reading at 53%. And we really need to bring those percentages up. I would definitely invest in more programs or curriculum that allow for our students to perform better. I know the district uses the MAP testing, the measures of academic progress, 3 times a year, in which the students, in which the teachers are allowed to personalize learning to where the student is at. So in these MAP scores, it shows the teacher exactly where the student is at, and the teacher can personalize that learning to meet the student where he's at and then help that student grow as well. And I feel like it's this type of programs or testing that happens in the district that make a real impact. I know that I spoke with a constituent who told me that his son actually looks forward to map testing, and that he charts his growth with his teachers, and he actually takes ownership of it and looks forward to doing the map test to beat his last score. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you. King for a day, relish the thought. Single change in policy. I would change the ratio of teachers to administration within the district. We've seen a massive increase in administration over the last 10 to 20 years. That has a knock-on downhill effect on the teacher in the classroom. So instead of doing the teaching, instead of nurturing our students and in academics and raising them to their highest level of potential and perhaps breaking through what they thought their potential was, we find instead that we have programs coming down from above. I came up with a little acronym once, no napping. We don't need another program. And that was a problem in education today, is we go with the latest fad, the latest thing that caught somebody's attention. And really teaching is about the teacher and the student relationship. It's about that connection with your students. And when we got talk about Project Right Size, when we got an out-of-size administration level in RISD between the years 2017 and 2023, we increased administration positions, in other words, in the classroom working with kids positions, by 1,040. Of that, 500 were teachers or bus drivers. The other 540 were this administration. So if I was king for a day, if I could change it for a day and make a policy that would have the biggest impact, it would be to limit the ratio of teachers to admin to about half what it is now. The savings in that alone would be about $35 million in the RISD.
Mr. Rojas.
Well, I would probably make a grade model for these teachers. I mean, if they're asking for more money, well, pick up the grades. These schools are failing. No good grades. Well, less money. I mean, their pay rate will still be the same, but like an extra bonus if you like. You know, uh, you want to call yourself a best teacher, good teacher. Well, prove it. Show it. Show the effort that you can teach these kids, not that you're a teacher and you work at this place and look at me, I'm teaching kids. No, prove it. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that.
Mr. Blackman, question number 6 will start with you. How would you suggest the board approach policy on student protest, political expression, balancing rights, and orderly schools?
So I believe the right to protest is fundamental to our democracy, to our strength, to our expression of ideas amongst each other, against each other, with each other. Those things cannot be broken by a school district. However, a school district has to educate our students. We have to have calm classrooms and school hallways. I was witness to some of the mayhem that was brought about during the COVID times, where students were throwing paper in the hallways and protesting various things inside the schoolhouse. That is not protesting, that is disruption. That borders on rioting, and those are not protests. Those are maladaptive behaviors expressing themselves in pseudo-political thought. And unfortunately, that is not the way we should teach our students how to protest, how to voice their opinion against the government or against something that is repugnant or something that they wish to change. Either way, having come out of the protests of apartheid South Africa, I remember well being arrested. I remember well being chastised by folks who believed the government was sacrosanct with the way things should be. And so for our students to protest, I would say protest after school, protest on the weekends. Don't disrupt the learning environment, because not everybody there might have the same opinion as you or want to protest about the thing you do. And they also have the right to education. They also have the right to a peaceful and calm classroom.
Mr. Rojas.
So I remember when Richardson had that walkout in 2004, 2005 about the way how they were treating the Hispanics. I remember we did a whole. Not me. My parents didn't allow me to go, but I remember how everybody was energized to talk and to bring out their rights because as a citizen of the United States, we have the right to speak out. We have a voice. Everybody has voice, no matter what age you are. The children have voices because they know what they want. Uh, but uh, but to have a protest, we needed to have it as right, the right way, not interfering or in the education or any way that will cause violence. We need a protest as the right way, as the good way, the human type of way, not animals or any other type of way.
Miss Burney.
So, public education is an institution where our children are learning about their rights and the Constitution. And to be able to get this chance to protest in civility and in a respectful manner is, I would, as an educator, call it hands on learning. I am glad that the district acknowledges and respects my child's First Amendment rights. At the same time, I know the district has boundaries for safety as well. I have received emails where I am informed ahead of time about these protests, and kids and students are also allowed back in the campus with the parent check in. So I feel like it is done in an organized and a respectful manner that allows our kids to address their First Amendment rights. Thank you.
Mr. Rojas, question number 7 will start with you. And the question is, how can the board balance parent preferences with broader student needs and legal requirements?
Well, I think that the parents has all the rights to know what the school board's doing with their money or any type of funding that we get from them, since we are the taxpayers that give out the money. Uh, I think we should give everybody, all the parents, the rights to know. But I think we should do a little program where where I know we have town hall meetings, but uh, like on the board meetings, we should give them out like some questionnaires and some answers where we can get from the people for the borders can know what the citizens actually wants them to do, not give out laws that we have no control over. Yeah, just leave it like that.
Miss Burney.
Can you repeat that, please?
How can the board balance parent preferences with broader student needs and legal requirements?
Well, first of all, parents are our students' first teachers. They know their children inside and out, and their input, their involvement is very meaningful and very impactful as well for our students. Having said that, the district also works with experts on many issues that the parents may have concern over. And I feel like it is at these school board meetings that parents can have a chance to come up and speak out their concerns. That is one way. Another way is to reach out to their district representative. And there are many ways that the parents can voice their concerns. And the district should definitely take all those concerns into consideration when making any moves or any other decisions regarding the students. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Thanks. The board does have to balance parents' preferences, but they also have to be in compliance with legal requirements. Those are given to us by the state of Texas through the Texas Education Code, mostly put through by the TEA administering it, and that's our representatives down in Austin passing those laws. And then the school board is responsible for how they enact those laws, the policies they then put into place. And that's where they need to hear from the community. And I said earlier, I was trying to connect and still do with the You and Me and the ISD podcast, trying to connect the community with the ISD, because there is a connect and disconnect sometimes between what the district is trying to accomplish and what the parents think they're trying to accomplish. So that is remedied in large part by better communication, by explaining to the parents what it is that the school board is trying to accomplish or the school district is trying to accomplish. Because I've always found in my life that if I'm explaining something and I think I have a pretty good handle on it and that's a great opinion, and the person doesn't agree with me, then that's back on me for not having explained my opinion well or not having a great opinion. Either one of those two things must then be ameliorated or adjusted going forward. In the same way, parents send us their precious children every day to educate. I educate students every day in my classroom, and I also work in the evenings as an adjunct professor. And so I have to work with the parents and students who get behind in work, catch up in work, what type of work we're talking about. I talked earlier about sex education. That's an opt-in for parents. They have to sign off on that and say, yes, I want my child to learn about that. So that's how sometimes we can make them more parent-friendly, but the parents' rights on how their children are educated should be paramount.
Ms. Burney, question number 8 will start off with you. And the question is, what should RISD do with the closed school properties and buildings?
Just to clarify, are you talking about the schools that have closed, that have
Yes.
to be shut down due to Project Right Size?
I'll read the question again. I don't know what they intended, but what should RISD do with the closed school properties and buildings?
As I have mentioned before, RISD has done an amazing job in repurposing those schools into meaningful community assets. For example, Thurgood Marshall Elementary has partnered with MetroCare, and that organization actually provides mental health resources for our staff and our students, such as crisis intervention or clinical assessments, and also one-on-one skills sessions. At the same time, RASD has also given teachers 8 free counseling sessions through their partnership with Texas A&M Commerce. The other facilities that were shut down have turned into child care centers for our staff with families, which is very much needed. To my understanding, we have actually been able to retain quite a few teachers just because this childcare option is amazing. It is a low cost, I think $300 a month, and you can't get better than that. Yeah, so I think that, oh yeah, and then another elementary school off of, it has turned into a community center off of Esperanza. So I feel like the district has done an amazing job with repurposing these schools, and they're not gathering dust. Thank you.
Mr. Blackman.
Thanks. In repurposing schools, you save the idea of having these sales of schools and then charters coming in and taking them over. So I think it's good that we continue to use the buildings. In my video I did on the Project Right Size and taking a look at the situation, I did many hours of study to get to the idea that we should compress the buildings. So take the vacant classrooms and turn those into the admin offices rather than the entire school. The Esperanza Community Center, a good example of partnering with the city of Dallas to allow them to use that for the community, and the child care centers don't take up the whole space of the building. So you do have some mothballing going on in those classrooms. Efficient use of the building is a great idea. It does generate savings, but to change them wholly into admin buildings, we went from having one centralized building to 4 or 5 admin buildings. Again, goes back to my idea of this admin to teacher ratio is a little out of whack in education. And I think if we corrected some of that with having the admin in the school building, in those schools, that we compress the classrooms down and have the admin use the classrooms that are no longer being used for students, they would be there every day, seeing our students, watching them interact, watching the effects of the policy that they brought about in order to get a better understanding of the organic nature of teaching and how the students react to the policies that they are trying to implement in our school district. I think it would be a great benefit for the admin, and I think it would be a great benefit for the teacher to have that direct communication as well.
Mr. Rojas.
Well, on the schools that are closing, I really don't want them to be facilities to other different type of programs. I mean, there's some good programs out there. Like the one in Esperanza, I see that there was talks about a ballroom in there, about about them renting the place for parties and all that. I didn't like that when I heard about it because I live in that area and know about how that area is, and that's not a good area for all that. Um, Luckily, it didn't happen because, oh man, it would have been a whole big trouble. Um, I know there's a WIC program there. I know there's a drug program there also. But I wish these schools stayed as they are because we're just destroying more time for education and giving other people more money without us, out Richardson gaining the opportunity to help these kids out.
All right. Well, this will be our last question, and Mr. Blackman, you'll be taking it first. And this will be the last question before we move on to closing statements. So, question number 9, Mr. Blackman, will be: can you share a position that you've changed your mind on in education policy? Why did you make that shift?
Thank you. That's a real simple one for me because we just had an example of that, the 2025 bond. I was in the bond steering committee. I was there with peers who looked at the needs of the district, and the massive lift of that bond was to do the middle school transfer from sixth grade and elementary into middle school, and I supported that bond, having been against the bond in 2021 and 2016. The reason I was against those bonds is we spent the money in the wrong places. We built indoor football fields while my physics lab still had gas taps that didn't work, faucets that didn't operate properly. So I thought before we do the extracurricular, we should do the core curricula. And that was my objection to those. So when I got to be a part of the process on Bond 2025, we got to interact, we got to listen to, we had that great communication, and much to the credit of Superintendent Branham for facilitating that and bringing in different minds. It was the first time I'd seen some folks in the discussions say no to things, and that was very refreshing to see. So my mind was changed, and that I could see the process more clearly. It was more transparent, and we arrived at a better solution. Now, ultimately, there were a few things in there that I would have changed up, fair enough. But in whole, I got out to the community. I did several videos on the bond, and I supported and promoted the bond. We have the capacity to afford it, and our students needed it. We couldn't leave a process of a middle school transfer half done. So that's why, and that's what it was.
Mr. Rojas?
Before I started joining the bond steering committee, I really thought nothing about this district. I really thought a district that really just wanted money. I thought district uh, higher ups that just wanted popularity, really didn't care about the kids. Uh, when I joined the bond steering committee, I saw a totally different type of story. I saw people caring, community caring. I saw uh, leaders that actually do care. It really a big mind opening that I had that really I think everybody else should have because it's really not a bad district. It's really not a bad people are here. There are really a lot of good people who cares about kids. It's just being on the board a trustee is just you don't have one voice. You have 7 voices. You have you have to be one body. So yeah, it was a big mind opening when I saw that. So,
Miss Burney,
Can you repeat the question?
can you share a position that you've changed your mind on in education policy? Why did you make that shift?
Okay, so this comes with a short story. My kids started with Richardson ISD in their elementary years, and then middle school as well. However, at one point, my husband and I decided to put all three of them in private schools because we wanted to experience what each type of schools had to offer. And the only way to get a true experience is by putting them in the private school. And what happened a year later really surprised me. All three of my children came at the end of that school year and said they wanted to go right back into Richardson ISD. And I feel like, and it was for various reasons. For example, more sports opportunities, a larger community in which they can make friends. Academic rigor is there as well already with our AP dual credit on RAMS program. But what I was proud of is that my kids noticed something about the district that I didn't see, my husband didn't see, and it was that they wanted not just the academics, but they wanted to be well-rounded individuals, and nothing beats RISD and its diversity. And my family is a testament to public education. And we came back from the private school and back into Richardson ISD, and my kids helped me change my mind on that.
Well, thank you guys. Our time for questions is expired, and we're going to be moving on to closing statements. Closing statements will be made in reverse ballot order. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We'll begin with Single Member District 3, Ballot Position 3, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, folks, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this tonight. I think it's very important that we get our positions out to the community. So when you go out and vote, starting Monday, early voting, and voting on this next 2nd of May as the actual day of voting, is that we could have these discussions and have these ideas. So a little about myself, and having been in Richardson 20 years, I've lived and loved here, and I stay here, and I love it here. I sit in these chairs every single school board meeting for the last 10 years, minus the COVID time. I'm looking to upgrade to the ones back here, they're a little softer. So with your help, with the voting coming up, hopefully you'll put me in that chair, because I want to bring about what I've already done in behind the scenes, quietly, with that steady hand of leadership in making things happen behind the scenes with things like teacher retention. That was mentioned earlier, went from 17.4% down to 11.5% as a direct outcome of the decompression we did for the salary for teachers. No longer was a teacher with 30 years experience making $6,000 difference. They now make $25,000 difference. And that's something I helped to build. I worked with the administration. I worked with Superintendent Branham and the head of HR, Dr. Chris Goodson. We made that presentation to the subcommittee that I was on for Budget Steering Committee, Community Budget Steering Committee, and we got it through. It came to the school board, they passed it. You've seen the results of that. With whole child approach to increasing things like recess in elementary school, we should have 2 recesses, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, at least 20 minutes. We should do a 45-minute period for lunch in the middle. That's just the kind of innovative things that Richardson can do to become that destination district. And then boys programming. I'm currently working on a subcommittee through the SHAC. I'm on the School Health Advisory Council, and we're working on a drug and violence prevention because the behavior in our classrooms is troubling, and we need to address that. So I'm doing all that already in the background quietly. I wish to get up on the school board so that I can sit on that dais and bring some of those forward with a little more authority, with your support, with the public saying, hey, we like the ideas that Ewan has. Let's put Ewan in the seat. Let's vote Ewan Blackman when it comes to May 2nd. Thank you very much.
Miss Burney.
So I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and I am an advocate for public education. We have lived in Richardson for almost 20 years now. We have built our home in this city. We have raised our wonderful kids in this city. And I am deeply rooted and invested in this community and in the future of this district. I bring a voice of diversity. The whole reason that the district chose to go to 5 single member districts is that there are diverse voices on the board. I look forward to representing not only District 3, but all our students here in RISD. And I look forward to your vote and your support come April 20th. And I will do the best that I possibly can to fulfill this role and make the best possible decisions for our students, our staff, and the overall future of our district. Thank you.
Mr. Rojas.
I am not an educator, but I am a concerned parent. I am a concerned parent for the future of our child, my child, and every child that comes in this district and to the next future of the students of this district. Uh, I want to open our education just like the MPA, the Memorial Park Academy, to open that to all districts, not just our district. We're losing kids from to charter schools, not like fast. We should bring that up to all. I mean, if you want funding, there's funding right there. If we open it up to the other districts, I mean, we can. If it's a lot of attraction, we can open it up to other, like to the other two high schools. While we was out there, we can even encourage adult education. I know we have GED programs, but who wants a GED? Everybody wants a high school diploma. We still get funding from the state for that. But to open it up to adults education in Richardson will give more passion to the community to showing, hey, we finished school. Now my child can too. So I'm just leave it like that.
Well, I want to thank this amazing audience for your composure. And although you were very excited throughout the forum, you held on to that emotion for this very last moment. So if you will please take this opportunity to give a big round of applause for these candidates.
Thank you, Mayor Omar. And didn't he do a wonderful job? Let's hear it for Mayor Omar. I do have a couple of introductions I need to make. We have Board Secretary Debbie Renteria with us tonight. We have Board Member Eric Eager and also Board Member Vanessa Pacheco. So thank you very much. And audience, thank you again for coming today and for your attention to the candidates. Remember, your vote only counts if you vote, okay? For the RISD Board of Trustees election for single member District 3, that's these three people sitting up here. 3 years ago, not for these people. 3 years ago, the District 3 election, only 1,470 people voted. 1,740 people voted in the election that these three people are vying for right now. Again, your vote only counts if you vote. Early voting starts Monday. That's April 20th. On Tuesday, the 21st, all polls are closed in both Collin County and in Dallas County because it's San Jacinto Day. On Wednesday, polls open up again, and it goes till the 28th, so the 22nd to the 28th, and actual election day is May 2nd. Tonight's forum was videoed. The unedited video will be uploaded to YouTube as soon as it is ready, and we hope to have it ready this weekend or maybe by tomorrow. We will advertise all of this on our website and our social media. So thank you for coming, and see you at the polls.